We encourage you, make sure you cash out. And so we have already told you about encouraging you to always dial the short code star 439 hash, star 439 hash. Alongside, while you do that, we're also giving out a lot this season. And it's also about Dewa Chop Money. And Dewa 539 Chop Money enables you to make sure that you also get a lot of credit into your account by 10 a.m. and that will be every day, 10 a.m. And so you also have to dial star 446 hash, and then you select option 2 to play Dewa 539 Chop Money. You also get to win 20 times your stake with Direct 1, 40 times your stake with Direct 2, 400 times your stake with Direct 3. Now, we encourage you to pick from the ranges of the numbers 1 to 39 as you make the choices of the numbers that you have to PEM, etc. And then it becomes an easy win for you. Make sure that in case you have some inquiries to make or you want to know more about Dewa 539 Chop Money, you get onto the website dewa-nla.com to get to play. As you do that, let me just say good morning to a couple of my friends. You're based in Kofodia, Aaron Brasu, good morning to you. I also have Kweku Aaron also joining us on stream. Mani Nimane is a great guy, and we love all the great support that you tend to give us as well. We're grateful for the support that you tend to give. So when you get onto Facebook, as well as all the relevant social media platforms, please make sure you share our conversation. This morning, the minority in Parliament, as well as their followers, the NDC side of the political divide, as well as some other pressure groups, they intend demonstrating. And that demonstration would take place on the 5th of September. And it's against a position they've taken that the Bank of Ghana governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, is to step down over his supervision of a financial year, which led to a whopping loss of some 60 billion Ghana cedis. We have also to put in a caveat because based on the responses, we're told that 53 billion of that is due to the DDEP, the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, as a prerequisite or criteria for us getting an IMF bailout. And then, so we're encouraging you to share. And then let's all be part of this conversation. We're encouraging you to share. It's very important for us because today we want to be very candid as much as possible. On the second part of the discussion, we'll also be looking at, as the Super Delegates Conference takes place for the ruling party, the MPP, tomorrow, who are the notable individuals who have been canvassing for the vote of the delegates of the Super Delegates Conference to get elected. What are the messages? And I'll ask the question, why are they promising change when we already had a change in 2016? Is it for better change? So we'll be asking all those questions. Ras Kotoka, great guy. Make sure you send us messages. Shaddai Adote, Onukpateten. And then we have Akasokre Joseph, great guy. One Corner Show. Lion, Ni Lion, Money, Ni Money. And then Prince Henry, also joining us from Kofodia, we're grateful. Ofori James, stop sending those scam messages on the platform. We encourage you to stop. Otherwise, we'll be blocking you, please. Mona OA. And then Serene Abdul Rahman Zakora, good morning to you. And let us know what you think. Inshiraba K. Ofori, good morning. Now, let's see what the Bank of Ghana has been saying. Because the governor has been responding directly to the minority. Does that mean after this response, based on the insight will be taken, the minority would have to rescind their decision to go on this demonstration? Let's have an insight from the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison.
The government issued an executive instrument to allow the Bank of Ghana acquire that land, and SIC was duly compensated. The bank then began to plan the building of its new head office, taking into consideration the need to ensure that the building meets all the requirements of a modern central bank of international standards, similar to central bank head office buildings in Abuja and Dakar, and includes provision for data centers, currency processing centers, vaults, and other sensitive installations. It is not just a simple, ordinary building. Let me re-emphasize that the bank followed all the necessary public procurement processes in this endeavor. No procurement laws were broken. The decision to commence construction was taken as far back as 2019, when the bank generated profits. Appropriations for the head office were made each year from profits made in 2019, 2020, and 2021. The project has therefore been going on for over 3 years. The DDEP only took place in January 2023. If we were to be taking the decision today, building a legacy head office would not have been a priority. However, this is a project that has been running for 3 years and about 50% complete.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana on Monday stated, among others, that no procurement laws were broken regarding the construction of the new head office building. This MP for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe, disagrees, arguing that procurement documents intercepted show otherwise, noting that even the single source procurement for the services of the project's management does not qualify under the single source procurement method.
Now, Ms. Amaliba, based on the responses of the Bank of Ghana governor, well, the call from the stakeholders, at least who side with the governor, is that the minority needs to rescind their decision to go on that demonstration. You side with them? Are you convinced?
Let me say good morning to your viewers. The governor, for me, is a willing tool.
It's a what?
Willing tool for the destruction of our economy. The economic meltdown that we are facing today can partly be attributed to his inability to be independent. He's like a Siamese twin with Oforiatta.
He's like a Siamese twin.
With Oforiatta. And that shouldn't be the case. The governor should be like a bulwark, you know, trying to ensure that the finances of this country are stable. Now, you have a law that says that loans, advances, and purchases should not exceed 5% of the previous year's revenue. This governor went beyond that. This governor refused to respect this law. The law went further to say that if you go beyond it, or you intend to go beyond it, you should inform the governor, should inform the minister, and I want to correct people, and parliament. People say that, oh, inform minister, a minister inform. No.
Because that's a response.
No, he's wrong. He's wrong. The law is very clear, and it's written in plain English, very plain English. And you didn't do that. So for me, that's why I see him as a willing tool. Now, it appears Ken Oforiatta will just go to the Bank of Ghana or the governor and say, can you lend me some money? And what the governor will say that, how much do you want? And there's no ceiling. There's no cap. And so, clearly you can see the hands of the governor in this economic mess that we have. He claims that the 60 billion loss was technical loss. A loss is a loss. There's nothing technical about it. There's nothing. Granted, let's even grant his approach. That 53%, is it 53? Yes. 53 billion is as a result of GDP. Now, how about the 7 billion left? Isn't that a loss? So no matter how he tries to explain to make it look like it's better, it's not better. Because 7 billion is still a loss. You can't have a governor who speaks this way. And I heard one of the officers at the bank say that the bank is not supposed to make profits. How?
There's a governor who also made
He also made that.
So it's not profit making.
No. when we say that an institution is not supposed to make profits, what it means is that when they make profits, they should plow back the profits into the objectives of the company or the institution. They shouldn't share the money amongst themselves. No institution has been set up, and Roland has been set up, and the purpose of that institution is to be run aground. I'm setting this company out, and the object is to run it aground. There's no institution like that. Even charitable organizations, charitable institutions that do charity, they make profits. And when they make profits, they plow it back into the objectives of the institution. And so the explanations given are, for me, warped and cannot stand the test of time. Why? You are in such a difficulty, and you are putting up an edifice whose amount or contractual amount, we are told, has transmogrified from an initial $180 million dollars to $250 million dollars. So how did we get to that amount from the initial amount? Did they explain that? Again, we were told that a company that was formed recently was given management services, and the contract was given to the company even before the company was set up. So the company was not properly set up, and yet it was given the management services. So how is that? You must first be a company before. You must first have your incorporation documents. Before. You don't have your incorporation documents. You've not incorporated. They've given you a contract. Then later on, subsequently, you went and did the incorporation. How is that? Why do you break laws like that? And so, the reason why, for me, they should have even been hauling him for contempt, because the law is very clear. That's informers. You didn't inform us.
There's a peculiar issue that have also been raised, and it's only you as the minority side of the House, or even the other side of the political divide, being the NDC and then the other pressure groups. It's also about even expenditures that the Bank of Ghana had control over, vis-a-vis whether it were for communication services or for transportation, etc. They seem to have been expended without a certain recourse to what the austere policy direction of the government of the day was.
Yes.
Because we were in dire straits.
Yes. So,
what do you say to that?
So you have purchases of vehicle ties, I'm told, maintenance allowances of vehicles that were made, which far exceed what is normal. Now, you were in a COVID situation. You were in a situation where the economy was going down. As a governor of Bank of Ghana, you should also be circumspect in your expenditures. It is like the board of the Bank of Ghana, the members there have just decided to throw caution to the wind. They are the ones who are supposed to serve as watchmen and women over our finances. But the kind of expenditure that the Bank of Ghana incurred during this period is mind-boggling. In a very serious country, the whole board would have been sacked for misconduct, for their inability to, as it were, ensure their oversight of the bank governor himself. And so I think that apart from demonstrating and going to put it out there that the governor should resign, I think the board itself, the board members are also culpable. And I think that they have failed in their oversight responsibility.
Even the board?
The board.
Okay.
The board. The board has an oversight responsibility over the governor and the institution, and they have failed entirely.
For the strategic direction
Yes.
of the Bank of
That's
Ghana.
it.
Now, Mr. Hussaini, if you take a look at, for example, even just supporting the argument by the Bank of Ghana that 53 billion of this loss was also because of the DDEP that was undertaken. We also do know that even with expenditure that was within the remit administratively of the bank and its board, this is what went on. So we'll put that on the screen for you, and then you will again do a recollection. So, let's forget at least the personal cost. Foreign and domestic travels for 2022, 97.4 million was spent. And you will see that that is a whopping 200% jump. Oh, 300% jump. So you take a look at that. So 28 million spent in 2021. And for vehicle maintenance and the running cost for the Bank of Ghana, it jumped from 61 million in 2021 to 131 million. And this was in 2022, at a time that by mid-year, the government of Ghana had announced that we were engaging the IMF because the e-levy had failed. Now, communication expenses that were also there, but these are costs that could have also been well expended and then created some level of empathy in these times when the Bank of Ghana is arguing that it's not responsible for some of these losses.
Good morning to you, Roland.
Good morning.
Good morning to Lawyer Jantua.
Morning.
And my very good friend, Lawyer Amaleba. I would say good morning to your viewers, particularly those who are watching us from Okankwinov. I'm hoping that they've had a good week, and the weekend ahead of us is also good for them. Roland, BOG and matters arising. In recent times, I think that the governor has spoken to the media more times in recent weeks than we have seen in a very long time. All because of the issues, being it genuine or otherwise, that the minority seems to have with the 2022 annual report as released by the Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana is a creation of the Constitution, and Act, I think 612, as amended, also supports the activities of the bank. In that act, the objects of the bank are stated. And it goes on to say that the bank is set up to maintain stability in the general price levels. The bank is set up to support the government economic policy. The bank is set up to promote economic growth and development. The bank is set up to ensure effective and efficient operation of a banking and credit system. And the bank is also set up to contribute to the promotion of financial stability in the Ghanaian economy. That notwithstanding, nowhere in that act is the bank a profit or set up to make profit for its shareholders, which is the government. So the act specifically states the objects of creation of the central bank. And nobody is talking about this object, but we are looking at profitability. Notwithstanding, we also won't expect the central bank to be making losses for the shareholder, which ultimately becomes a bill of the Ghanaian taxpayer. So I will understand why people raise issues.
But these are just not people. It's not as if it's only the opposition.
I would understand why Ghanaians at this time are questioning, and it's legitimate. I think that it's legitimate. And like I said, the central bank has been speaking to the media more than we have seen in recent times. But you see, when you take a financial statement, it is not only the figures like you just read for us, Beneath that are notes to the financial statement, which are also part of the financial statement. This morning, I'll be happy if you drill down, because for every line item, there is a note in the financial statement.
We've had explanations from the Bank of Ghana.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of
so
course.
so we're okay with that. And we've noted the
okay.
explanations of the Bank of Ghana.
But this morning, you're still highlighting those line items.
But why are they bad? These are the reasons why we got to the law.
Of course, it's in your right to highlight those things. But you see, when you do highlight them, it will also be fair that you go to the notes and explain how come the line item for, let's say, foreign and domestic travel is jumped from the 28 million from 97, in fact, from 28,176 in 2021 to 97. It's also very important that you explain. If you go to the notes, it will show you how come the jump in that line item. In 2022, it was a year that we had a lot of fiscal instability. You could recollect where the CD dollar rate was at a point in time. I mean, we had gone in the ranges of 15, and then it started.
So we had to do more travels.
I didn't say more travels.
But that's what you are saying, because the CD was down. So
I
we have to
didn't
do more
say
travels.
more travels. It does not necessarily mean when you travel and you want to buy tickets and your cost of traveling, it's mostly in dollar terms, and then you have to convert. So depending on the exchange rate that pertains at a particular point in time, it will reflect in the final cost.
At a time when the Bank of Ghana, which is responsible for monetary policy, no, Mr. Let me just make this.
Yeah, please.
Is that not when you have failed as a central bank to be able to rein in the forex by way of the CD's performance against the major international currency that is always used for trade, the US dollar? Is that not when you have to exercise some level of discretion? Other than this argument you're making that because of forex losses this jump is justified.
Roland, this reporting is done within a particular context, within a particular environment, right? I wouldn't want to understand how come you're pointing to a failure by the central bank because it's a report. I really don't know. But you see, in 2022, as a nation, we had explained and we know how come we got into that particular challenges within the year. It was a year that for an import-dependent economy like ours, forex to even import our normal goods or that we consume in this country became a problem.
I say.
You recollect the government had to even be creative to put in measures like the gold for oil thing to be able to.
Why is it now?
To save. Of course, it's operating. That's how come we've had that stability. Whatever you are saying,
prices just increased recently.
Yes, but the prices just increased because look at the global prices.
When the prices were reducing,
we have said that in fuel pricing there are two significant factors.
Please come back to the Bank of Ghana. Don't go to fuel, please. Come back.
You asked a question. Then
no. It's not. It's just a point of note.
Okay,
it's not for you to go to.
Let's talk about Bank of Ghana. What I was saying about Bank of Ghana was that when you showed those line items, I was expecting that you go down to the notes to show how come travel expenses had increased from the 21 to 90 something million, and it's explained in the notes. I will expect you to look and explain to your viewers this morning how come the communication expenses, all because in that particular year the bank decided that this is what we were going to do to our IT system within the bank, and it entailed them writing of their existing computers and getting replacements.
And
those items
you know Professor Buffett, he teaches at the University of Ghana, a very distinguished professor of economics, and this is what he said. He says that the loss by the Bank of Ghana is due to its excessive overexposure to government. As a result of that, an independent body is needed to investigate and make recommendations to ensure that the bank does not put itself in a precarious situation in the future, thereby jeopardizing the monetary policy states of the economy. You are saying that one too is influenced by...
The professor is
wrong.
he's entitled to his opinion on what is happening. But I will say that the bank is created to support the general economic policy of government. So when government has to undertake economic policies like we experienced in 2022, when government had to do very, very far-reaching debt exchange like we had in 2022, it was the role of the central bank to support the government in that. So if the central bank is taking the hit for the repercussions of what economic policy the government has to pursue to save our economy, so be it. I don't see how come we'll have a central bank who probably has the capacity to help government pursue a policy that is going to safeguard our economy, and we go on and say because of the independence or supposed independence that the central bank is going to have, we're going to stand aloof for the economy to collapse or go down south. It won't make any sense for me.
Right.
So if it's actually the role. It is actually the role by the acts that set up the central bank to ensure that the central bank plays this important
The central
role
bank
to
in taking
safeguard our
these
economy.
decisions flouted its own regulation.
Where is the flouting?
If you go to 30, if you go to 36,
Parliament was duly informed by the finance minister on the impact of this policy. Of the impact of this policy on the performance of the central bank. So wherein lies the independence of the central bank?
What do you make of the seeming position of the central bank in taking a certain stance that it hasn't flouted its own regulation? You go to 36, clearly stated. And for a central bank that is supposed to be the backbone of the structure of the economy that we have on the monetary policy side, it's put us in a very precarious situation. Even well testified by great economists of our country as well as even elsewhere across the world. What do you say to that?
Good morning to our viewers. Good morning, Hussein. Good morning, AB. Good morning to yourself, Roland. Let me start.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Let me start.
Please don't interrupt me.
Let me start by quoting the law.
Please do.
Section 30 of Act 612 amended. 16, Article 16 says, the principal enactment is amended by A, the substitution for subsection 2 of 2. The total loans, advances, purchases of treasury bills and securities made under section 1 shall not at any time exceed 5% of the total revenue of the previous fiscal year. And B, the insertion of a new subsection after subsection 6 as follows. 7, where the total of loans, advances, purchases of treasury bills and securities made under subsection 1 is 5% of the previous fiscal year's total revenue, the governor shall notify the minister and Parliament of the attainment of the limit under subsection 2. The minister, upon notification, shall report to Parliament on the remedial measures to be taken. So the governor's responsibility of reporting this is to Parliament and
The minister.
the minister. When you break a law in this country, what happens to you?
There are punitive measures to it.
There are punitive measures.
You walk free.
There are punitive measures. When you break a law, you're either arrested, and when you're arrested, you're put before court. What is he still sitting there for? Has he not broken a law? Has he not broken the law? Tell me. What? Hussein, what? Has he not broken the law?
Don't get distracted.
Has he not broken the law? There's a law here. 2, look, when independent institutions get involved with politicians, it becomes toxic. And that's what happened. That's what's happened in the Bank of Ghana situation. They cry independence, don't they? Independent situation. Independent
They
situation.
said they are. Actually, the act that established them gives them.
The moment they get involved with politicians, they become toxic. They can't take the decisions they are supposed to take. Now, they say they are not a profit-making organization. They say they're not a profit organization. When the governor was giving his address, what did he say? He said they made profit 2017, 2018, 2019, and based on that profit, that's what they're using to build the what do you call it? The headquarters. So if they're not a profit-making institution, where did they get that profit from? Did they print money?
Great question.
Did they print money if they are not a profit-making organization? Let me go on. What did, you see, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, and the Minister of Finance, and even the President, and MPP commentators like Husseini will come and tell you, oh, it's because of the DDEP. Because of DDEP. What caused the DDEP? What brought it about? When we applied to the IMF, what did the IMF tell us? Go and restructure your debt before you come back. Is that not where DDEP came from? So exactly. if you say what 50 point what do you call it million is DDEP, who caused up? Wasn't it reckless borrowing that cost it? Didn't the IMF tell you go and restructure this before you can come to us, and that brought the DDEP? So what are they telling us?
Husseini, please.
What are they telling?
Everything
what
down.
Are they telling us? The DDEP, it came from the sky. It just fell on us. There was no reason and cause for the DDEP. And the governor should tell us, when the finance minister was borrowing recklessly, did he do his work in terms of informing government that, hold on, where we are heading for, we are not heading for the right place? Did he tell them? And if he did, he should tell us when, give us dates, give us times, who he spoke to, if he wants to resolve himself. If this were any other country, he himself would resign. And they want to tell us that what is paper money, it's on the books, it's just writing. How can it be? How can it be? It's profit that has been lost. 60.8 billion, nowhere. The governor of the, what do you call it, of the American Central Bank, you think he'll still be sitting there? Exchequer, if it happened to them, you think he'll still be sitting there? These developed countries, if their central bank lost 60.8 billion, which is about $6 billion, they'll still be sitting there. But when you have a president who forces the finance minister, who makes certain purchases in terms of loans that the president couldn't even monitor him when he was doing all this reckless borrowing, what do you expect? What do you expect? And they keep throwing sand in our eyes, as if Ghanaians don't think and Ghanaians don't
What do you
know.
make of the response of the Bank of Ghana to this? Justifying all that has happened based on what has been published in the report?
He is spitting in our face. Spitting in our face. Why do I say spitting in our face? He couldn't even apologize. He couldn't even apologize to Ghanaians for what has happened before going on to start his address. He couldn't even apologize. His responsibility as an independent arbiter, if I can use that word, is to make sure that the country's finances are in place. And if politicians are going above the spending limits, he is to warn them. Can he really tell us that they didn't print money? Can he really tell us that the Bank of Ghana did not print money? So all the money they gave to government, where did it come from if they are not a profit-making organization? Where did the money come from? They should stop throwing sand in our eyes. They should stop putting sand in our gari and speak the truth for once. Because it will come to bite you down the lane. It will come to bite you. And if the president really has Ghana at heart, his people who aren't working, he will sack them. He will sack them. How can a president come into power for 7 years and not reshuffle anybody? How? How possible is that? And then you tell us that, oh, the president has Ghana at heart. He's not showing it. If he has Ghana at heart, he's not showing it. He should show it. And his people who are making sure that he does not succeed should be sacked. The governor of Bank of Ghana is one of them. It's embarrassing. Do you know what the other countries are telling us? They are saying that Ghana is an example as to how not to run an economy. our African brothers. That's what they are telling us. Isn't it a disgrace to us? And we sit and we clap our hands and tell us DDEP. DDEP was caused by you. You created it. Ofori-Atta created it. It was part and parcel of it. And the president himself couldn't even hold Ofori-Atta back. Ofori-Atta sits in cabinet, doesn't he? And sometimes the governor of the Bank of Ghana would be called into cabinet, wouldn't he? When these things were going on, what did they do? When even Ghanaians realized where we were heading for, we should do something about this was December 2022. Look, we've got to put a halt to some of these things. Got to put a halt to some of these. We didn't mind. Ofori-Atta came to tell us, we are proud people. We will not go to IMF. What happened in the end? And the president keeps in there. Anybody who has been part of bringing Ghana's finances to this point should go. Unfortunately, we can't sack the president. Otherwise, we would have sacked him.
Now, this demonstration, in what form is it going to take? No, relax. No. In what form is it going to take?
Well, it's going to be a demonstration. They'll parade the streets and then end up at the Bank of Ghana. It is to drum home the point that the governor has contributed to our economic mess. The Bank of Ghana has a responsibility to ensure economic growth, but the bank itself is sick. The institution that's supposed to ensure economic growth is sick. And so if that institution itself is sick, how can that institution ensure our economic growth, our whole well-being? And so you would want a situation where you can drum home the point. So this demonstration will be a peaceful one. The police and then the minority met yesterday, I think so, to map up the strategy as to how to ensure that it is peaceful and does not create any chaos. There are Ghanaians who have also said they were going to join. Arise Ghana, a group, they are going to join. I know 2 other groups that have indicated their interest to join. And so, for me, it is about the message that these demonstrators would send out to the people. It is now key that we begin to focus on the institution, because if you are talking about the president, I have spoken about the president so many times. It's like using basket to fetch water. So now, what you can do is to focus on those institutions. So now, like the governor of the Bank of Ghana, he has conscience, yes. And so he himself will know that, yes, his stewardship is nothing to write home about. And I think if we continue doing that, the state institutions would move away from the president's vision of trying to run this country aground and begin to, exert their independence. The governor has so much powers, and his tenure of office is secured. And so I don't know why he is afraid to, as it were, ensure that the right things are done. And that's why I describe him and Ofori-Atta as Siamese twins. Because what Ofori-Atta says is what he does. And I've never seen a governor of a Bank of Ghana behave so timidly and is so willing to condone acts that will lead to the downfall of our economy.
At the end of the day, the question is, why shouldn't the Bank of Ghana resign? Governor resign?
I am still struggling to understand the reasons Maliba and his people are giving to hit the streets.
Maliba and whose people?
And the NDC and the minority are given to demonstrate against the continuous stay in office by the Central Bank. We have continually said that the reporting and the performance of the Central Bank should be juxtaposed in a particular context. In 2022, it was a year where we had inflation increase from 12% of around 14% in January to about 54% in December. It meant that even the bank's own operations on the open market would experience increased in cost of interest that a bank has to pay, and all of this is captured. If you put down your NDC colors or cap and reach the financial statements and juxtapose it within the context, I think that you will comprehend it to the extent that there won't be a need for you to go on demonstration like our brothers want to do. He keeps talking about the independence of the central bank. In this day and age, you cannot do fiscal policy without the input of monetary policy. We try to fix the two, feed the two together. It's the only way by which you can fix the challenges that situation.
So as a result of that, we've had to the Bank of Ghana, even when we had
Ronald, I don't want to go back to reading the objects of the central bank.
No, listen. And, even though when we had the crisis where we had commodities for which we tend to export a lot, suffering by way of the prices going down sharply within the period 2014, 2015, 2016. Even those times, for example, in 2016, the government didn't go to a central bank for any additional.
Similarly, the government didn't go to the central bank in 2017, 2018, 2019, until 2020. I was in Parliament when we actually did get this 10 billion bonds from the central bank, and it was for a particular purpose that had not happened within living memory. Within living memory.
What has happened? Even the Holocaust happened in living memory. What are you talking about?
Of course, the Holocaust happened.
So don't say it. Don't say these things have not happened in living memory. What do you mean by that?
In living memory, nobody has experienced COVID like we did in 2020. Nobody had experienced.
Is that the new excuse?
Of course, I'm telling you, I'm giving you the reasons why government had to go to the central bank. In 2020, for that 10 billion bonds that we created, in 2020, this was the purpose, because we needed to safeguard lives at the time. How much money did you get internationally? Oh, Mr. Jantua. How much money did you get internationally? You know. At the time, the projection was that if we didn't prepare, if we didn't take certain steps, by June, people were going to die on the streets of Africa.
Professor, did you read the special COVID reports by the Auditor General? Which did indicate that the expenditure pattern based on the inflows that were gotten, and even if you look at the terms of reference of that audit report or that audit that was undertaken, it wasn't even all the inflows that were audited. And the Auditor General did indicate that the expenditures were undertaken flouting key provisions in the Financial Management Act.
Johnny, I will not rationalize any misapplication of funds within the COVID era.
Because you're choosing what to talk about and what not to talk about.
The exigencies of the times. I mean, we had actually made it clear, and the president had told Ghanaians that, look, these were trying times. These were times where safeguarding lives was paramount. Right? I will not rationalize
where we flouted key regulations of our own financial laws.
There are rules in this country.
Spending
there are rules
outside the remit of what was allowed.
There are audit trails to every transaction
of funds.
There are audit trails to every transaction. People who were found culpable or are found culpable should be held responsible. But what I'm saying essentially. Of course. What else can you do? But to hold them responsible for officers and transactions, they are responsible in the disbursement of the public purse. I mean, that is to be expected, right? But my point now is that from 2017, 2018, 2019, there was no funding of the budget from the central bank. Zero. We actually even went ahead to put in place the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
You were under IMF.
Then events of 2020 made it necessary for us to go to the central bank for that funding. So it is the exigencies of the time that led to that. It is not because we had failed. It was not because we had failed in our fiscal policy. We had been very, very consistent.
Mr. Jantua, let me apprise you of, and I'm sure you've seen this as well. In 2012, the Bank of Ghana, in its financial year, based on the statement it published, made a profit of some 1.5 billion. 2013, 900 million. 2014, again, 900 million. 1 billion in 2015. Even in 2016, when we didn't go to the Bank of Ghana for any money at all, 700 million was made by way of being the profit recorded. In 2017, 1.6. 2018, 800. And then subsequently, even the same COVID period that you're talking about, the Bank of Ghana made a profit of 1.6 billion. And then the concern is that
in 2021 as well.
Of course. The concern is that
the
government of the day were having the ministry led by Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance ministry, made overtures to the Bank of Ghana and seemed to have taken the bait, despite its regulations. Now, couldn't we have found other means by which we would have undertaken a DDP without going to the central bank, etc., for some of these, making...
Other means, when you say other means of finding a DDP, who had created the debt? Who had borrowed to a certain extent and created the debt?
But the debt was not just
the
a creation of the new
Please.
It's
Please
public
write
debt
to the
which
thing.
has accumulated.
What do you want to do so that I write it down for
There
you?
is perpetual secession.
Of course.
You take your assets and liabilities once you come into government. So stop putting us back into
You see?
a different, what do you call it, era. You are supposed to manage the economy. And in managing the economy, it's got to do with managing the finances of the economy. And if you haven't been able to do that, and you now take loans recklessly, you were the same people who 2017, 2016, 2015, you were castigating the Mahama government for using loans to pay loans, When you came into power, why did you do it? Why didn't you find an
They even
alternative?
took more loans then.
Why did you do it? And then inflation has spiked. You think the spiking of inflation has got to do with profits of the Bank of Ghana lending to government? The spiking of inflation has got to do with printing of money. And they are not prepared to tell us that they did that. Look, Ghanaians are kind of people who, they forgive. Tell us the truth. Apologize to us. We say, okay, that's fine. Let's move on. But no. They are hiding their heads under the table as if they are sitting on our necks. And we put you there. Who put the Bank of Ghana governor there? Wasn't it the people of Ghana?
Would you expect that he resigns? Despite the pressure that's...
He should have gone ages ago. The
not.
moment it was shown that 60.8 billion cedis has been lost by the Bank of Ghana, he should have written his resignation letter because he hasn't been able to supervise, irrespective. Look, the IMF, in their document, if you've got it here, what did they say? Did they not use the word exacerbated? Did they not use that word? What does that word mean? That there were conditions that were...
They have exacerbated pre-existing fiscal and debt vulnerabilities. And debt vulnerabilities caused by the government of Ghana. As a result of that, we lost access to the international market. And then we increasingly constrain ourselves with domestic financing and reliance on monetary financing of the government.
So what was the plan when they came into power? What was the plan? You had come into power from a government that had been taking loans left, right, center. What plan did you put in place to say never again? Because remember, we were still under IMF when the MPP came into power. Were we not? So what was the plan they put in place to say that we would not go the way the NDC government has gone? We would try as much as possible to minimize it. Look, they have said so many flowery things. Some of the policies they brought out are fantastic policies. No two ways about it. Have they been able to implement those policies to the benefit of Ghanaians? Have they been able to? Common school feeding. They haven't been able to handle it. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? So look, they should bow their heads down in shame and they should apologize to us. Their own, flag bearers, the 10 or so that are standing. How many of them have you heard stand and bang their hands on the podium to say, what we did, MPP, is good. It has helped this country. How many of them? How many of them? They are all running away from President Akufo-Addo's government.
No,
that tells you something. That tells you something.
They're all promising change, actually. We'll talk about them very soon.
Why are they promising change? If it was good, President Akufo-Addo, when he came into power, whose legacy did he... Kufuor. These ones that we have here, the flag bearers we have
differently.
Are they going to campaign on Akufo-Addo's legacy?
Of course.
Let's see.
We have done enough for us to campaign on it. And that is
it's only one who's done that.
That is our record.
If in 2020,
and that is what we are going to defend going into election 2024.
As you indicated.
They did.
And that was a COVID period. The height of the COVID.
1.6 billion.
And they made profit during the COVID period. Then it destroys their argument that it is because of COVID that the Bank of Ghana overspent and engaged in those type of reckless borrowing or lending to the government. Why? We all know what they use the COVID funds for. We all know. They shared it to their PCs, their parliamentary candidates.
That is so true.
Why?
That is so true. Because
why?
I was a
There's
candidate.
There's a candidate.
I was a parliamentary candidate.
Then go for your money. They didn't give it to you. Go for your money.
That is not true.
But there's an audio where somebody
Felicia. He's called Felicia in Tamale.
There were schemes.
Today you are heckling. It's not. It's usually you don't do that. Today I don't know why you're doing that. Okay, then please don't heckle.
The misuse of COVID funds was also highlighted by their Auditor General.
Yes.
And I hear him say that, because of the exigencies of the time, we didn't vote for you to come into government and stop thinking because times are not good. In fact, it is rather in difficult times that we need you to think. But if in difficult times you cease to think, what's your use in being government? So you can't use that as an excuse and say that, because of the exigencies of the time and the payments or people couldn't account for, and that you disagree with that. These people must be arrested, prosecuted for squandering the COVID funds. Why? As if COVID just jumped from all the other countries and landed in Ghana. In our neighboring countries, do they have DDEP? Do they? Look at the inflation figures. Ghana is way, way, way above. Way, way above. Yet, in the sub-region, you can have 5% in, say, Ivory Coast. And ours is so much high at 42 or 43%.
Let me just surprise you of the latest figures. Countries
of the information
of the inflationary trends.
Okay.
And just by the latest from June, because we're in July, we're in August. Egypt, apart from, is among the highest apart from us. They have 36.5%. All right. Now, like for like, Kenya, you know, they are also
the same
seeking
bracket.
7.3% in July. Madagascar, where we go for the tourism trips, 11.75%. So we are in the same boat with Tanzania, 3.3%. I mean, like for like country.
Yeah.
Our neighbors, Togo, you pass through Aplawu, then you go there.
Walking distance.
Mr. Fuseni likes going there very often. 6.4 for his constituents. 6.4%.
You see?
Nigeria, big country Nigeria. That does a lot of
200 million people.
24%.
And we are around 40 something.
Yeah. So the countries that we surpass are Zimbabwe, 77.
Abba.
Sudan.
Abba.
Sudan. What on Sudan?
Yeah.
63%.
Zimbabwe.
Senegal is doing so well, 5.7%. South Africa, 4 points. Every time they come and argue that every other African country are also suffering. 4.7%, South Africa. Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. You know, recently the World Bank said because of this.
Threatening him.
3.9%. Liberia, Monrovia, Montserrado. 9.4%. Liberia. Ghana, 40.
You can't even mention the rest of the figures. You see, Zimbabwe is like a banana republic. Nothing happens there
Oh, they are having elections as we speak.
They are under serious sanctions all the time.
They can't even breathe.
As we speak.
They can't even breathe economically. Zimbabwe.
I mean, he's talking about a literal.
You know, they can't even breathe economically. In fact, most of them have to migrate to South Africa to make a living. In Zimbabwe, to get 3 square meals a day, you must thank your stars.
That is if you are outside Harare.
And even they are better than us. So it is not like COVID was created for Ghana. As if COVID is like they call it what is it? Diarrhea. Going around people and leaving the landlord. And that when it got to the landlord, it struck the landlord very hard. Because if diarrhea is catching people in your house, it's looking for the landlord. So we are the ones that when it got us, it hit us very hard. It gave Nigeria small, came to Benin small, Togo small, and then after us, it was in Ghana that it was looking for. So all these explanations, this tangential explanation about COVID, about Russia, Ukraine, are not
tangible arguments.
Tangible.
No, I'm saying that diversional. I want to say, are not something that we should allow for them to continue doing that.
Okay, so
it's
now
wrong for them to continue using COVID. It's
we'll put on the screens the MPP presidential candidate who are receiving. Please don't shout out to me. Why are you shouting at the host? No, please stop it.
But I was thinking it was fair.
I'm moderating the program. Why are you doing this? Please relax. Now, MPP presidential candidates ballot. Sorry. So you add your comments to that as well. So let's have them on the screens. The individuals who are contesting 1 to 10.
Roland. I was thinking we should finish this before we go.
No, we have finished. So you just add your comment and talk about the MPP. We don't have time so that we can end nicely.
Roland, we have had a challenge in this country. Former President John Dramani.
You wanted to say Dramani. What has he done? He took us...
He had considered in his last State of the Nation address to Parliament in 2016 that the structure of the economy that we run, basically 3 line items, took all our revenues, public sector wages, our debt obligations, transfer to our funds, and then our incomes were finished. This structure that we have run in this country for a while, there was a need to break that cycle. Yeah. And for us to break this cycle, for us to break that cycle, we needed to do and take hard decisions about certain line items. That is one of the reasons why we undertook the DDE, so that we could actually impact on how much of our revenues go into our debts. You instructed to do the DDE. So it is not a case that we as a government will continue with that cycle without doing something. We had to, it was a case like you taking what we had known in the past, chloroquine, to cure your malaria. It was a bitter pill. It was a pill that when you put in your mouth, you feel the bitterness. But if you don't take that pill, you will not be healed of the malaria parasites in your system. In your system. And that is exactly what this government is doing. If we don't break that cycle, if we don't improve upon our revenue mobilization, these countries that you mentioned, look at the level of tax revenue relative to GDP. In all of these countries, you see that
that's the next point of the argument now.
You see that we are trailing. Yes, because our system is not mobilizing enough revenues to be able to take care of our day-to-day expenditures.
Because we're spending more than we're earning.
It is a case of two points. Either your revenues are not enough to take care of your expenses, or your expenses are more than your revenue. So you need a balance, and that is what we are doing when we say that we are undertaking these policies to enhance our fiscal consolidation. So that is what we are pursuing.
Who are you tipping to win this?
The obvious choice is number 10, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Okay. So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will come first,
yes,
based on your choice. So second will be who?
I am not too worried about that.
Okay. If you were voting, you would have only one vote.
Oh, of course. I have one vote, and my vote is for...
Why is it that all the candidates are promising that they are departing from the policy implementation efforts of the president.
I have a very huge difficulty when it comes to that, because most of them have been integral in the government, and they will tout some advantages or some policies that they had led that have been able to impact on the performance of the government. Some will say their capacity, or will explain away what they have done with job creation, what they have done with the establishment of new industries, where certain industries have gone because of their impact in government, and then they can turn around and say that there is nothing to defend about this government.
Did you listen, to Mr. Kenny Japan? Did you listen to
I didn't listen to him. But the difficulty I have is for some of them who were integral in this government. Okay. Some of them who had defended the same government in 2020 based on the record of the performance of this government between 2017 and 2020. They were on their campaign trails. We saw them campaigning vigorously for the retention of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And that was exactly the good people of Ghana listened to them and went back to the polls and voted for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So how can they turn around and say today, as a government, we don't have a record, or they cannot defend?
So for you,
the reason why I am voting, and if I had a voter, I'll vote for number 10, is that he will not depart from the record of this government. He will not depart from the record of this government. He has been integral. Yes, he has been integral. He will not check his responsibilities. Okay. We keep saying that, look, if you look at the performance of this government, from between 2017 and 2020.
Dr. Bawumia will not check his responsibility. But he's the head of government economic management team. What do you mean? Please, your time. We have to end. Why do you want to take all the time? Please. What do you say to that? It's not ironical that the head of government's economic management team, managing providing advisory services, at the end of the day and the policy direction takes us to the IMF, for which we have candidates in there, Kenny Japan, who are saying that if you take us to the IMF, that means that you failed.
Let me start by giving you a quotation.
Please do.
And I quote, "I think the next occupation must take place at the Bank of Ghana, specifically to petition the governor to depreciate himself entirely from the scene."
Gabi Ochiragu.
22nd July.
Contextual.
2014.
Contextual.
2014.
Contextual.
Isn't that ironic?
Contextual. Please stop.
Isn't that ironic?
So when I was speaking, Mr. James,
look,
my good friend was
Ayikwe Otu.
Ayikwe
Otu.
The former.
You heard what he said? Have you heard what he said? He said, so far as he's concerned, Dr. Bawumia should step aside. He shouldn't even try with this one. He's still young. He can come back again. Is it now that you win that you're going to change things? Then that means you didn't have any teeth to bite when you were in government. If you're now going to change things, if you're being voted for, if you are voted for, and let's say the country decides to vote for MPP again and he is leading, and you want to change things, we couldn't bite. When was the last time the EMT met?
Well, have you heard that they've not been meeting?
When was the last time they met? Who has taken control of that position? Who has? Within the government, who has taken control? With all this DDEP and all these things going on, when did you hear the vice president talking about it? So, the list.
Please put the list there, the ballot.
There are 10. For me, this particular election is not an important one. It's not the important one.
So which one is?
The important one is the one after this one.
Because this one, everybody seems to be.
And what happens with the five who don't make it? Where their allegiance will lie? What kind of politics will go on? Who will be castigating who? Who will be insulting who? That is where the issue is. Remember, the 200,000 delegates in that one? I'm telling you, the center focus of this election, the next one, is Ashanti. And there will be
the November one.
Yes,
But
there will
tell
be
you
a
that
surprise.
Historically,
Have you picked something from
I
the
said there will be a surprise.
historically, what has happened in
What
the
do you mean?
super
Watch.
delegates had
Since you are in this, let me
happened
give you
in
only
the
2 minutes.
main elections
Why?
historically.
It's not fair. You should give me my time.
Oh.
You remember who was the economic
Historically, it's
consultant
reflected.
in Zimbabwe? You know, we spoke about Zimbabwe just now.
Yes.
There was somebody who was an economic consultant in Zimbabwe at the time the country started going down.
Who?
And that was Dr. Bamu Bawumia.
He
came here.
You mean he worked with their central bank?
He came here.
No. You know Zimbabwe was not part of the international economic at the time.
Can you just be disciplined?
You know that
No.
Zimbabwe had been suspended
You made
from
your
all
point.
those
You
things.
made your point. It's okay.
You
Let's
see,
make it.
so then he's
And he
come to
was on the
Ghana.
ticket of AFD.
Oh, he's come to Ghana. We made him a vice president. He has run this country aground because he's the head of the economic management team. And you sit here boldly and tell the people of Ghana that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will continue with this abysmal performance of Akufo-Addo. When you go out and they lynch you, you say, why have they lynched you? Do you know the anger in people? Do you know how many people want the back of this government? The man himself has distanced himself from the president.
Who?
Mahmoud Bawumia.
It is not true.
And
It
you,
is not true.
And you,
Amaliba is not
and
true.
you, and
It
you,
is not true.
and you are
No,
saying that,
he's telling-
and you are,
That is stating his opinion.
and
You're stating your opinion.
And you are saying that the man will continue his legacy of Akufo-Addo. Look, all these people, there are some people who are striking the right notes.
Like who?
You see, like Ajepong, Kobna Ajepong, striking the right notes. Like Abuaje,
Boache
Jaco,
Okay.
striking the right notes.
Kene Japan.
I don't know about that. But these are people too who the delegates will not vote for. You see?
What about Alan?
No, Allah is one of the favorites, so he will be among the 5. But I'm talking about messaging.
Vision.
Messaging and vision. These two guys have
proven.
toppled the rest. Yeah. You know,
Who and who? Sorry. Who and who?
I'm saying
Stop
that
disrupting.
I'm saying that Kobna Ajepong and Ejako are striking the right notes. Kenya Ajepong is appealing to the grassroots of the party, but most of them are not going to vote. Those who are going to vote are those in positions in the party. As to whether his maverick style would endear those people is another question. But you see, in 2024, if you put together all these candidates, their faces, they will not win the election for the MPP. Because Ghanaians have resolved to extricate themselves from this hardship.
How did you do that conclusion? You did a survey.
Yesterday, I was at the court to file a process, even though the court is on vacation. A lady walked up to me and said that after 2024, we shall vote not only with our thumbs, but with our hands, and then
But
our legs.
You know that's illegal. You cannot do that.
Oh, you should understand where it's coming from.
It's a figure of speech.
Figure of speech. Your school, they didn't teach you that. So, that was a woman who was so desperate and was no more happy with the system that he found himself in. And it's replicating. When you go outside and into town, it's like that. So, my brother, the issue of the Akufo-Addo administration having run this country aground is a clear case of hopelessness, helplessness, and everybody is only waiting for 2025.
You see,
Okay,
For a
let
new
me
government
read.
to come.
No, it's okay.
He should
It's okay.
apologize.
Oh,
The
Mr.
president should
Fuseni, this one is coming
apologize.
from
You see, prior to
Nana
the writing of the
Otuocha. Oh, let me
BEC.
read some. BEC.
I'm giving a
Your
testimony. I'm
constituency
giving
is
a
which
testimony.
constituency, please?
Okankwe North.
Okankwe North.
Yeah.
Okankwe North. Isa Fuseni.
Fuseni.
Fuseni Isa Okankwe. You'll be going for the primaries. Thank you very much. Lawyer Jantua, thank you very much. And then
Prior
lawyer
to the
Amaleba.
writing of the
No,
BEC.
stop this thing.
A lady.
Oh, let me read message. In fact, we write.
Had said that, but free education.
Listen.
I have this one from Nana Otue Champong. He's a known banking consultant. He says,
Yes, my friend.
your analysis of the BOG's P&L fails to consider the effects of exchange rates. Don't forget that we don't manufacture anything in Ghana. Hence, the expenditure
Isn't it
levels
the government's responsibility?
fall to the vagaries of the exchange rate.
Isn't the
But above all,
responsibility?
a whopping 80% of the loss is attributable to the uncontrollable DDEP. Add the exposure to cocoa bond
Who
on the loan.
caused some?
Good morning, Nana.
Who caused some?
And you get
Good morning, Nana. Long
90%
time
of the
no
loss.
see.
So
Who
that's
caused some?
Nana to champ on
Who
there.
caused some? Who caused the DP?
I also have I also have this one from Seth, and Seth said, did the Fiscal Responsibility Act apply to the Bank of Ghana? No. It was to limit government expenditure to at least 5%.
So suspended.
What the
Because of
MPP
COVID.
is not getting is that the BOG governor breached his own statute that established the Bank of Ghana he's supervising. Thank you, Seth, for that.
reporting was done.
Philip Obochi from Qatar says, in fact, for 7 years, Qatar has not received any $1 million for the constituency. What I knew was that COVID-19 money was shared among MPP members. Nothing is working. Let me read more message, okay? Saidu Salaga says, please ask Mr. Husseini to tell us how much in total the government received in fighting COVID-19. As a Muslim, he should be honest than always defending the party, even when it's wrong. Nana Imedu from Jubilee House Communications. He says, of course, Honorable Husseini is discussing the Bank of Ghana. How do you expect him to bring in COVID audits? When he brought in fuel price increments of 2022, you told him to stick to the Bank of Ghana. Roland, you couldn't stick to your principle. Thank you. I like how Mr. Jantua is dramatically energized this morning. You should bring on the same energy when Cecilia Dapa is in the subject. Why are all elephant communicators defending the BOG? Are they benefiting from the incompetence of the BOG? Kalio from WA. Now, Randolph Zichu says, this morning, Lawyer Jantua is talking to my satisfaction. My salute goes to him greatly. Randolph Zichu anointing. I have Musa Abatwanya Swansea. Every sector of the country has collapsed under the government. Ekufuado and Baumia's watch. And then I have also, it's 34 minutes. We have to cash out. So from Mystic Wonder, inside in Sawa Madreji, we have this one that says, Dr. N.S. Addison must go. Now let's cash out. Let's cash out. We encourage you. The short code is *439, *439 hash. And so let's do a draw. As we wait for the draw, Ayana Isaaku Baumia said he had a new vision, which is far away from Nanado. Bismarck says, okay, we're going. 3, 2, 1, cash out. The winner is the number 0558613, counting. We'll call that number. Let's do the second one. Let's do the second one. Okay, so the second draw, we have 3, 2, 1, cash out. So the number is 0244892. We'll call the number if it's possible. Okay, so whilst we wait for the number to be called, let me just go through. Thank you, Brenda, our lead director for the morning, for allowing me to read more messages. That's Chanel Peace. Why is Mr. Husseini always trying to shout when the issue hits him?
Oh, really? You know I don't shout. You have to tell her that I don't shout.
Okay, me, I'm not the one. They are watching. So, hello, good
up.
morning. How are you? Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Okay. Yeah, I think my voice sounds like a female on phone. That's not bad. Please, what's your name?
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
So you see the viewers can.
My name is Sakina.
Sakina, where are you talking to us from?
I'm calling from Accra, Newtown.
Accra, Newtown. You are the proud winner for one of two of our first draw
My
for
name is
Cash Out
Sakina.
TV3 New Day.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes, please. Check whether you have money credited into your mobile money account.
Yes.
How much?
It's 1,000 Ghana cedis.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Sakina, thank you for always staying loyal.
Thank
We love you.
very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the second person also is good. So I have Master Planner Kintampo. Master Planner Junior Kintampo. Today, Lawyer Maliba didn't speak with anger, so his points were well understood and articulated. Thanks for asking my suggestion. Anyway, Dr. Baumia will win both the Special Delegates Congress and the General Congress. Usually it's not angry. Mischief. It's mischief. He's not angry. All right, that's communication skill. Now, Abina Bequeen says, Jaren, they are pushing him to win because of the mess he has created. Okay. All right. And thank you all for joining Obrin Ponkaba. Kwejo Tufo, good morning to you, based in the UK, my great friend. And then also my good friend, alongside yourself and your wife, Nicole. You're based in Charlotte, North Carolina, the United States of America. Good morning to you, Angela, as well as your two beautiful children. We all love you right here. Mani Imelda Nassar, Ras Kotoka, all of us have had some great conversation. Next, we have a conversation coming up after sports, and we're looking at the entertainment industry because in music, concerns have been raised that it looks like when it comes to Afrobeats, the way it's taken over the world, we seem to be losing out. And the argument from the connoisseurs in entertainment and the industry in Ghana, across the world also, of Ghanaian extraction is that we seem to be crowded out deliberately by Nigerians. Is that the case? How do we make sure that we also get into the groove? Now, we're giving more money when it comes to Cash Out, so we encourage you. Make sure you are part of the bonanza today. *439#. *439#. You are playing it, and that's good for Seni. Thank you.
I'm not playing it. I'm just checking my message.
We're taking a break. We'll be right back.